Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Super Bowl halftime show with Mr. C. Shout out to everybody tuning in to the Mr. Camilleri Show YouTube channel tonight. As I've said before, math does not only exist in the classroom, it exists everywhere. And in this show, we are rocking with percentages. I am going to calculate the completion percentage of Patrick Mahomes and the completion percentage of Jay Hurt. So, superstar quarterback Patrick Mahomes has completed 8 out of 13 passes. So now I'm going to do 13 divided by 8, decimal point 0000. So first step, we want to divide by the smallest number possible. That's within the square, so 13 divided by 80. I'm going to do the division as if it were a whole number, and then I'm going to put the decimal point in at the end. Decimal point trips a lot of students up, so divide as if it were a whole number. At the very end, we'll worry about the decimal point and inserting the decimal point. All right, so 13 divided by 80. So if I skip count by 13s, 13, 26, 39, 52, 65, 78. Now if I skip counted by 13 again, I'd be at 91. 91 is too far. 91 is too far. We want to figure out how many groups of 13 we can get within the number 80. But without going over 80. So I'm going to count how many groups of 13 I got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 13 goes into 80 6 times. Now the number I landed on was 78. 78's the closest I could get to 80 without counting over. So 78 minus 80. (78 minus 80 equals 2. Now we're going to bring down the 0. (13 goes into 20 one time. Now if I skip count by 13s, 13, 26 is too far. So I was only able to get one group of 13. I was only able to get one group of 13 within the number 20. I landed on, and 13 is the closest I could get to 20 without going over 20. So 20 minus 13 equals 7. Now I'm going to bring down the 0. So now I got to figure out how many times 13 goes into 70. How many groups of 13 go into 70? All right, here we go. 13, 26, 39, 52, 65. Now if I go to 78, that's too far. 78 is more than 70, so we can't go to 78. But we want to figure out how many groups of 13 was I able to get into 7 within the number 70 without going over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the closest number I was able to land on was 65. So 70 minus 65 equals 5. So we have a remainder of 5. With decimal points, it's going to keep going. All right, so here we have it. Patrick Mahomes' completion percentage was 0.615, and 0.615 converted to a percent is approximately 61.5%. All right, so now Jay Hertz is next. One thing before I move on to Jay Hertz. If you're not fluent in skip counting, say you're not able to count by 13s in your head the way I just did, you can still solve this problem, but it would just take a little longer. What you would do is you would add 13 plus 13, then you would add 26 plus 13. This is how you would have to go about doing it. You would have to just continually add 13, or continually add whatever the number is. You can still get the correct answer that way, but it's a slower process. It does take a little longer, so I would definitely recommend mastering the art of skip counting. But about to erase. Gabadosta, I dropped my marker. So Jay Hurt, he completed 17 out of 22 passes. So we're going to do 722 divided by 17, decimal point 000. So our first step, again, we are going to divide as if we were dividing a whole number, and then we'll put the decimal point in at the very end. All right, so 22 divided by 170. So what I got to do is I got to count by 22s and see how many groups of 22 I can get in the number 170. So basically, if you're not able to skip count by 22, what you got to do is continually add 22. So thankfully, I'm able to skip count by 2, so it's a little 22, so it's a little easier. All right, 22, 44, 66, 88, 110, 132, 154. Now, if I skip count by 22 again, I'll be over 170. 176 would be the next number, but 176 is too high. We want to get as close as possible to 170 without going over. Now, again, if you're not able to skip count by 22, what you can do, it's a much slower process, but you would have to just constantly add 22. For example, 22 plus 22 is 44. 44 plus 22 is 66. 66 plus 22 is 88. So you could go about counting by 22 and seeing how many groups of 22 are the same way, but it takes a lot longer if you have to add step by step. Anyways, doing it the fast way, I'm going to count how many groups of 22 there are. So how many times did I have to count by 22 to get to 170? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 22 goes into 170 7 times. And the closest number that I got to 170 without going over was 154. So what I'm going to do, my eraser kind of disappeared on me. 170 minus 154 equals 16. So now I'm going to bring down the 0. So now I got to figure out how many times 22 goes into 160. if I want to break that down, see if I can break it down up here. 22, 44, 66, 88, 110, 132, 154. And again, if I counted by 22, and again, I would be way over 160. I'd be at 176. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 22 goes into 160 also 7 times. And the closest I got to 160 before going over 160 was 154. So 160 minus 154 equals 6. I'm going to bring down the 60. Now, if I skip count by 22s, 22 goes into 60 twice. 22, 44, 66 would be more than 60, so we can't count by another group of 22. But we can fit 2 groups of 22 within 160. I mean, we can fit, correction, we can fit 2 groups of 22 within 60, 22, 44. So, there we have it. 60 minus 44 equals 16. So we have a remainder of 16. When it comes to decimals, it kind of keeps going and going. Now I'm going to insert the decimal point. So J Hurt, its completion percentage was 772 thousandths. If I convert that decimal to a percentage, we're looking at 77.2%, approximately 77.2%. All right, so I'm gonna write it down. Completion percentages. So P. Mahomes was 61.5%. J Hurt (77.2%). So J Hurt had a better completion percentage. He also caught more passes and threw for more yards. So J Hurt did have a stronger first half, but you know what they say? It is not how you start the game, it is how you finish it. Now, this would not be a halftime show without some music or some entertainment. So, I am going to end this video by singing my version of One Shiny Moment. Now, the difference between this halftime show and the halftime show on TV, what this halftime show has that the Super Bowl halftime show on mainstream television does not have is comedy. Because Rihanna is actually a pretty good singer. There is nothing funny or humorous about a good singer with an amazing voice singing on stage. It's entertaining, it's awesome, but there's no comedy there. Now, listening to somebody sing that has a horrible voice, that sounds absolutely ridiculous, like myself, I'm a terrible singer. That's funny. I sound so ridiculous when I sing that it's funny to some people. And I do have the innate ability to laugh at myself. So, without further ado, I'm going to end this halftime show with the Mr. Camilleri version of One Shining Moment. The ball is tipped, and there you are. You're running for your life. You're a shooting star. And all those years, no one knows just how hard you worked. But now it shows. That one shining moment you reach deep inside. That one shining moment you knew you were alive. The time is short and the road is long. In the blinking of an eye, that moment's gone. And when it's done, win or lose, you always did your best, because inside you knew that one shining moment you reached for the sky. One shining moment you knew. That one shining moment you're willing to try. One shining moment you knew. One shining moment. All right. That is the Super Bowl halftime show with Mr. C. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and enjoy the rest of the Super Bowl.